Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. He's not a machine, he's just Albert. There's so many good performances this week. It's players only. Let's go. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Myself, Jake Stromboli, Trevor Plouffe, Big Baby, David. What is going on, everyone? Excited to get back in the lab. Monster weekend of baseball. T-Pain, you were a part of it. We had, what do we have? Garden hire ceremony in Minnesota this weekend?
We had Guardians Hall of Fame ceremony. I went out there, hung out with all the boys. Just a really nice evening. It was him and Dan Gladden. Also, Tovar got put into the Hall of Fame. So it's kind of a little weekend there. Had a great time. I decided to wear my Twins jersey to show support for the boys today. And I realized I used to fill this thing out just a little bit better. See these sleeves? These things used to be full of biceps, people, and that was tell you something about where my life is. I'm excited to talk about the weekend that was. Maybe we'll sneak into a little preview of the Subway Series. We got bankers doing banker things. I'm going to give an award based on that, and I'm not going to go Tolkien baseball. I'm going Game of Thrones baseball today.
You're on the pulse, man. You're on the pulse. How was Minnesota?
It was great. I knew there was going to be a lot of alumni there because Gardy had managed there for quite some time and, it was all about him and Dazzle Dan. He's also a beloved figure out there in Minnesota. But when I showed up, there's just so many guys from different teams, like different generations of Twins. So it was cool to see, man. All the old coaching staff was there. I was hanging out with, obviously, the M&M boys were there, but Jamie Carroll, who I reference quite frequently on this show, my gritty utility infield, Jamie Carroll was there, Ryan Doman, a lot of fun names, man. Carl Pavano, Yankee fans will remember Carl.
Yep. He
looks great. And that was the thing I noticed is like, I feel like I'm in good shape post-baseball.
Yeah.
So I looked good. My outfit was on point, but that's to be expected. I showed up there and everyone was like in great shape and like their face looked good and their clothes looked good. I was shocked. At how good everybody looked. I was actually mad about it, Jake, because I wanted to be the guy that looks good.
And I think you're the problem, Trev. I think you've raised the bar too high. I think you're kind of setting the tone that they're coming into the weekend and they're like, Plouffi's going to be looking good. Like, I kind of got to bring it.
There could be some of that.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, heavy as the head that wears the crown, I'll be that guy.
You and Joe Mauer.
We had some nice dinners together, Joe and I. We're talking about some golf stuff, so be on the lookout for that.
I'm ready.
How was your weekend? You were out partying it up in Texas. Are you like, you and Texas are an unlikely pair.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it just works. It's like prosciutto and freaking cantaloupe, bro. It just works.
Everything's bigger in Texas except little Jake. Yeah, man, I was stayed at this crazy place. It was like a compound. It was like a ranch. It's my buddy's uncle who owns it. Dude, the joke I give, it was a neighborhood. Like it had like a park in it. There was like multiple homes.
What?
Like it was nuts, dude. It was nuts. It was awesome. Had a good weekend. Went into Austin for a quick minute there, but wasn't really in Austin. Played a lot of golf. Game is dialed, so you, me, and Joe Mauer can rip it up. So yeah, man, it was good. I mean, it's a good little escape for me. This is like year 7 now. And every year the fantasy football winner gets to pick the draft. We've done Austin, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Denver, Park City.
Those are weird places that you just named off.
Yeah, it's kind of that middle of the country line. I need to win the league, and I think I'm going to drag everyone out east and do it. I haven't done that yet, but we're on the right path. So It was a nice little getaway. I think the dog days are over, Trev. I think when we talk about these series, the baseball I watched this weekend, there was a lot of intensity and fist pumps. I feel like most of the teams went through their kind of the dog days. It's like the start of August till like middle of this last week. It felt like the teams turned it on this weekend, and I'm ready to go about it. Beebs, you just get a giggle?
Cade Holcomb in the chat. Tulsa's not weird, Trev.
Do you know what's funny about that, Bieber? Is I was just about to say, why would you go to Tulsa?
Yeah.
And I didn't say it, though, out of respect.
Yeah. No, hey.
He read my mind.
I think the winner that year, I think he like just had a kid, so he kind of kept it local. So, hey, that's
some
like
Oklahoma guys in that.
heavy is the crown, like you said. So, Trev, I think we got to get into it, man. Dude, there were so many good performances this week. I was looking at the standouts, and there were some dudes that just balled.
I'm giving 2 standouts. I'm giving 2.
That's right. You do have 2 highlighted. That's when you know. That's when you know. And I had a write-in guy that wasn't on the list. So
what is in Tulsa? What do you do in Tulsa?
Man, I'll save it for the end of the episode. One of the craziest wedding after parties I've ever been to was Tulsa, Oklahoma. It got weird. If you're looking to go get weird at a sporting event or concert or wherever you want to go get weird, SeatGeek probably has a ticket there. So make sure you go download the SeatGeek app. Use code TALKIN. They will get you $20 off your tickets at SeatGeek. Download the app. It's so easy to use. It passes the JM test of can Jake use it? Yes, he can. Shout out to Bob the Builder. $20 off with code TALKIN the first time you use SeatGeek. Download the app. It's so easy to use. The green bubble, that means a really good deal. Go get that one. Yellow, red, I don't know about all that. Go check them out. SeatGeek, they're the best. Code TALKIN. Trev, you have a question, and I think Gardy drew you in the leadoff spot tonight.
Oh, man. If Gardy was managing and I was batting leadoff,
yeah,
it'd be like 2013 all over again, 100 losses. That was a good one by me. Self-deprecating humor works sometimes.
Tasteful.
I do want to remind the people, as we get to this point of the season and maybe throughout the future, we're trying to keep the show. We don't want it to get stale.
Right.
Okay. I know James mentioned this on his James Only episode that he did on Friday, which was marvelous.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through the recaps. We'll get through them. We'll talk about the baseball that happened. We're not going to spend a ton of time discussing the musings of the series. We'll go to more topical stuff. And then we'll get into the second half where we give the awards and whatnot. So I think that's kind of the way we'll go forward with it. I think it's going to make for like a tighter, just a better show. And then we'll still be silly because especially on a players only that's really the only goal.
Yeah. Love talk, love mentioning your teams. I get it. I mean, if you're a big baseball fan, if you're a big Tigers fan, a little shout out on Talking Baseball could go a long way, but I can't deep dive. I'm happy you guys took 2 out of 3, but that's the AL, Trev. We need to talk some NL, baby. And there's
Just hold on.
Okay.
Let me get my timer up.
Get
bro.
your timer up. Is that your phone?
I'm ready. I got my phone.
Look at that
my
setup.
microphone. This is my baseball today setup.
Your show.
Dueling stands.
Your
I
show.
love it.
Trev, tell me about the NL, Big Daddy.
My people, we are going to start off with Jake Snakes. Unfortunately, they got their head chopped off by a shovel. The Cardinals came into town. The Birds on the bat. They sweep. It goes 5-1, 16-7, 6-4. It was all the usual characters. You talked about Albert, 2 bombas off of Bumgarner. Arenado with some highlight defensive plays. Paul Goldschmidt is, well, according to Arenado, the best player on the planet. They sweep. They've been electric in August. We'll probably go into that a little bit during the topics. Dodgers take care of business against the Marlins. They sweep at home 2-1, 7-0, 10-3. They get to Alcantara. They have a menacing lineup. Guys are showing up out of nowhere. May is back. They can do no wrong. Are they going to challenge the Mariners' season total wins probably because they're that good. Another great series, Mets at Phillies. The Phillies, what do you say, Jake? Boogity boogity. They don't want to see the Mets anymore. The Mets take 3 of 4 from them, 7-2, 8-2, 10-9. The Mets win. The Phillies do get one, the second game of a doubleheader. They win that one 4-1. There was some wild baseball played into this. Last night's game, Mark Canha with 2 homers. To best Alec Bohm's 2 homers. Gene Segura thought he was the hero. In the end, it was Canha and the freaking bat flip. His bat flipping season, baby. They take 3 of 4 from the Phillies. I think I have a note. I don't know what it was. They've won a lot of games against the Phillies, the Mets have this year. Okay, so they're happy that one's over. This one's another tough one to swallow. The Brewers going to Chicago. The Cubs take 2 of 3. The Brew Crew is falling right now and very quickly, and we're going to be talking about what's coming out of their clubhouse too. Cubs win 8-7, 6-5 before the Brew Crew takes the last game 5-2. We'll talk about some of those post-game comments after this. Giants go to Colorado. They need to get hot quick, and they didn't. Rockies take 2 of 3, 7-4 Rockies, 4-3 Rockies in extras, and then the Giants won the last one 9-8, also in extras. I know my guy Longo went off, but the Rockies took care of business. Probably going to be too late for the Giants, but we'll talk about that series a little bit. And then I believe, 2 more series left. Nationals at Padres, they split the series. We don't like that. It was a 4-gamer, 3-1 Nationals, 6-3 Nationals. The Padres win the last 2, 2-1, 2-1. Musgrove has some good plays with the bare hand, doing that whole thing. Padres need to try to keep pace. They split the 4-gamer with the Nationals. Last series that we're going to talk about is the Reds at Pirates. Not going to spend too much on this one. Reds do take 2 of 3, 5-4 Pirates, 10-1 Reds, 9-5 Reds. I saw Moose hit a homer. That's really good. Go ahead, 2 and homer in the 3rd. Thank you, Moustakis. The Reds take 2 of 3. And my friends, that's what happened in the National League.
Trevor, beautiful stuff. Trevor Paul from St. Paul. In the East, the New York Mets have a 4-game lead on the Atlanta Braves. Those 2 teams are so good. The Philadelphia Phillies are now 12 games back in that division. They're 8 games back, the Braves, for second place. It's looking like their East hopes are probably maybe sealed, but they're still very much in the wild card. The St. Louis Cardinals, Trev, this is significant, and I think it may be why they are number 1 in the Cron Pod today. They have a 5-game lead on the Milwaukee Brewers. Whoa, they are 69-51, a 7-game win streak. The Birds have started to go, while the Milwaukee Brewers are in a little bit of a funkaroo right now. Like I said, 5 games back. And oh, by the way, Trev, I might owe you an apology. The Los Angeles Dodgers are 84-36. What are we doing? That's a 700 win percentage. San Diego is a casual 18 games back at 68-56, and the Giants go to a game under 500. I know Jerry Blevins was drinking a little bit of their Kool-Aid, thinking they might get back in the mix, and currently the wild card. Your Braves are as locked in as can be. They're up 8 on San Diego. San Diego with a half-game lead on Philly. That fills out the wild card, with the Milwaukee Brewers a game and a half out of the playoffs on August 22nd. Giants 6 back. They're the only tweener team in the National League right now, unless you count my Snakes, only 11 back. But yeah, Trev, I'll send it back to you. I know you're a Cron Pod guy, and I think we started with the Birds, and they're definitely one of the developing stories of this season.
Yeah, they took care of the games they needed taken care of. You go ahead and you beat the Diamondbacks, because that's what you do if you're a good team. They wore the baby blues there. Pujols goes yard twice. So now the conversation becomes, does he have 8 more in him to get to 700? Shit, maybe. He said he's retiring, which I don't believe.
No?
For 1 second. If that dude is 4 homers away from 700, you don't want to be like A-Rod sitting there at 696.
Ooh, I wonder if Rod's actually the target. Like
Get past him, you're good.
If he clips Rod, he doesn't care about 7. I don't know.
Let's talk about this a little bit with the Cardinals, okay? I know Pujols is fun to talk about, but this team has been absolutely bananas. 15-3 in August. Jake.
Yeah.
They were 4 games back of the Brewers on July 30th. It's August 22nd. They're 5 games up, 15-3 in August. And like I said in my little recap there, really it's been about the guys who you'd think it's been about. If you ever go watch a game or watch some highlights, it's Arenado, it's Goldschmidt. You're going to get the Pujols highlight here and there. It's Waino. It's these guys that have been around the block. Sure, we have some young talent coming up and helping, and there's been some really good performances by these young guys, which you need. But I think that like Arenado coming over, I think has been the biggest difference in this Cardinals team, where we said they've kind of just been a mid team where it's like they're good enough to get to the playoffs, but is there something that puts them over the top? I think Arenado and like the edge he plays with, like we kind of speak on this from time to time here. Guys that go on the field knowing they're the best player and how that affects your team's psyche. Like they have a couple guys that can say that. Arenado, a quote of his this weekend was that Paul Goldschmidt is the best player in baseball. Now Goldschmidt's not like an outspoken guy. He's never to come say that about himself, but his numbers are there. He has had an incredible year, obviously an incredible career, but now you got both of these guys on the corners, Arenado and Goldschmidt, who you send out onto the field, Jakey. And these 2 guys alone could just win you baseball games. And if you're the Brew Crew, not having a good August, like you get hit with the hater thing at the deadline, which, has that affected their play? Probably not, to be honest with you. He hasn't been very good in San Diego. And I don't think that's really been their problem. But now you're looking up at 5 games in the Central. And you're almost saying to yourself, is the division out of reach now? 5 games, August 22nd. They play the Brew Crew. They play 2 more times. No, 4 more times. Excuse me. They have a 2 and a 2 left. It's doable, but at this point, you're not even in the wild card.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with the Brew Crew? Can they salvage this, or the Cardinals just pass them up?
It's 2 different conversations because the Brewers, they've had a couple up and downs this year, but they're down. I mean, the hater stuff, I know, the quotes, we're going to talk about the Brewers in a minute. I know you've already mentioned those a few times to me and how impactful you think that is. If you're saying that stuff to the media, that means it's a very real thing. And the Cardinals have gone the exact opposite direction. Like you mentioned, since I think they had that Yankees series right after the deadline, they have just gone and gone. Jordan Montgomery has been nails for them. Quintana, they picked up 2 starting pitchers. That's impactful. And like you said, Paul Goldschmidt is currently the Vegas MVP favorite at like minus 375. You bet $10 on Paul Goldschmidt to win the MVP right now, August 22nd, you'd get about $3.50 back. That's the year this dude has put together. He's a Hall of Famer. He's as unflashy as a guy as it gets in a way. In another way, watching him play baseball is sexy as hell, man. That Arenado barehand Baltimore chopper, that Goldie picks, that is baseball pornography, man. The way Arenado did that, someone else did it this weekend at third base. Was it Matty Chat? No. Oh, it was your guy Longoria. Had
he made great plays
one.
out there.
Longoria had a nasty one. You're getting those efforts from the corners. Paul Goldschmidt is your NL MVP. Like, we did a whole Judge Ohtani, who's going to win it, who's going to get it. Judge, big Vegas favorite, by the way. Goldie is currently your NL MVP. Arenado has been incredible on the corner. Like you said, he plays with an edge. It's somewhere between the line of edge and hardo a little bit. I don't want to say that in too rude of a way.
I don't think he ever gets to that point.
The story I've told, Tim Melville, a Talkin' Baseball legend and John Boy Media legend, he had 3 good starts with the Rockies, and after his 3rd start, Arenado went up to him and was like, your throw day, we're stepping in. Like, he was like, I got to see what's going on. Like, Arenado's that dude. Like, he is baseball rat. How about that? You know, that's a term that gets thrown out a lot. Arenado's that guy. He's special. And, yeah, man, I think going back, if you have those guys as your rocks, which they are, you know, then on any given day, I feel like I see Lars Nootbaar highlights all over the internet. You know, we've talked about a lot of their young guys. Brendan Donovan, Carlson. You know, we've had a lot of Tommy Edman conversations, although I think he's faded a little bit. And then that's before we even get to the machine, Albert Pujols, who just put up one of the best, like, week and a halves of baseball we've seen this year. 9 games, 27 at-bats, 6 home runs, a .556 batting average, 1.846 OPS. Albert, this dude is having his best season since 2011. Like, something in the water in St. Louis, or just vibes, or whatever it is. But, you know, whenever you're facing a lefty, you can put in, you know, an MVP level hitter in your lineup. Sure, that's a formula that works. So, yeah, man, they've got the juice right now.
I noticed Albert's hands were starting a little bit further away from his body. And Cardinals fans, if you're in the chat, tell me if you guys have noticed that too. But against Bumgarner there, it looked like he was kind of like further out with the hands. And when you do that, that's more, yeah, he wasn't really bouncing it. He's sticking with him out there. And I think he's finding a good path for his hands when he's doing that. And if you get him further out, away from your body, it becomes more of like a barrel to the ball type of mentality. Instead of when you're a little bit closer, it becomes more of a path. So like your whole bat, like you're worried about the path of your bat. Obviously, you want to make contact on the barrel, but when your hands get a little bit further out, it's almost like your precision has to be better. And he's like feeling that. He wants to feel like where his barrel is, instead of just like, hey, forget about my hands. Like, you know what Josh Johnson talks about? Like, all my swing is in my legs. I don't even think about my hands. When you get your hands out, you have to think about your hands in the direction they're going. And really, it looks to me like he's just trying to get the barrel maybe out there a little sooner as he gets a little bit slower in age. But he got the barrel. Second homer against Mad Bum, the one that went to like left center, was a rocket. I don't know if we can count on this type of production all the way through, but it sure seems like it, right? Like especially against lefties. Against
lefties, dude, he's mauled lefties for the last like 4 years / career at this point. Like, he's Albert Pujols. And yeah, man, you also have to feel awesome for him, because I mean, think about some of the conversations we had. I know, you know, Chris Rose said on this program, he was like, you know, is Albert Pujols just going to go to the Orioles and try to hit a couple more dingers and call it a lot? And now here he is. Like, who would have thought before this season we were going to be having, like, Pujols should come back next year, right? Because he's awesome. I love him getting in front of the media and being like, nah, just shutting that down. I secretly hope you're right. Like, if you're telling me I get to see 43-year-old Albert just messing with some young lefties next year, sign me up. But, hey, St. Louis, before the year, I think we even said this, they were the #1 team in baseball magic with Pujols, Waino, and Yachty. And just
the story.
The storyline. I believe in storylines in sports. I think it's part of what makes sports special and the best reality TV show. And, man, they're starting to go. And they went at this point last year. Like, remember, I think they were below 500, and then they turned it on, or right around 500, and they went nuts to finish the year. They're on another heater. And if I'm Milwaukee, I just don't know. I just don't know if we're going to find that juice, because right now, everything out of there is the complete opposite tone.
All right, we don't have to talk about the Dodgers a ton because they're just really good. I mean, Dustin May comes back, looks good. Evan Phillips in game 1-2-3 ninth. He has David Roberts saying, I trust him to finish a game. Best case scenario because he had Kimbrel down, so he puts this guy out. Some numbers on Phillips as you know, you get towards the postseason, which is they're just setting up for the postseason now. That's what the Dodgers do. They're figuring out, what can the rotation be back there? Who's going to be the guy that can go multiple innings? Who's going to be at the end of the game? Do we have an end of the game guy, or is it going to be by committee or the hot hand? I'm assuming that it's going to be hot hand with the Dodgers, unless someone comes out and breaks out and just snatches the job. But for a guy like Phillips, 11 straight scoreless outings, Jake, and he's at 48 appearances and only given up a run in 4 of those.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's going to be in the mix for some back end there, along with a couple other guys. They knock around Alcantara, knocks him out of the ERA lead in the NL 4 Saturday.
Yep.
Tony Gonsolin now at 2.12, Alcantara at 2.19. They put what was the final line? 3 2/3, 6 earned runs. This is the most earned runs in a start in over a year, obviously. The Dodgers are just they're a truck, bro.
Yeah. Something I missed, Cardinal Snakes really quick. That first night, Mike Liss goes 8 innings. That's big. And young Henry for my Snakes. He's doing stuff, which is nice.
Who's the guy there? There's a lefty that's
I think
got a
Henry.
nice swing.
Oh, swing? Alec Thomas?
No, is it McCarthy?
We can get in there.
Is there a McCarthy?
I'll get you some Snakes.
I don't know. He just looked really good to me.
Like it. Trev, the Dodgers for me, you're right. Like, you almost can't deep dive. It's just look at everyone's record around the league. Look where the Dodgers are. Look at they just got Dustin May back, and he drops it. You could check that box. It's like, oh, did we get one of the most young, talented pitchers in the league back? Yes, we did, and he looked good. Great. Hey, we're facing the guy that's probably going to win the NL Cy Young. How do we look against him? Mauled him. 3.26 earnings. Your guy, Max Muncy, is tied for the MLB lead this month with home runs. He has found it, and he's going. Like, if you're the Dodgers, you check every box. Oh, by the way, Joey Gallo comes over for, I think it was their 15th prospect, and he's one-dotting, making defensive plays. He threw a guy out. He's making diving catches. The beard is back. Confidence is back for Joey Gallo. Yeah, man. I mean, if this was a video game and it was like Dodgers playing the Marlins, here are your goals for this series. You clean swept. You swept on the field and you swept your video game goals. It's this kind of opened up my eyes, man, because they're the Dodgers. They win a lot of games. I told you, I was like, the Mets in a playoff series. I mean, Scherzer, DeGrom. And obviously that can be a fun baseball conversation, but why shouldn't these guys get every benefit of the doubt? Because they're going to be there. And, yeah, their playoff pitching does not feel as intimidating in previous seasons, and I think that's why I was there. But guess what? Their starting pitchers are first in ERA, first in WHIP. Their relievers are third in ERA, first in WHIP. Like, guess what? They're going to be able to put it together. Like, it's not like they're going to be throwing Joe Schmo on the mound. Like, no, they have guys you might not be as familiar with Evan Phillips, who closed out that game. But guess what? Dodger fans are, and that dude's ready to go. So, yeah, man, they're a problem. They are the Rays with a budget. They are a different type of organization.
Don't even say that anymore. I know we coined that term.
Sure.
They're better than the Rays. It's a better run organization than the Rays, and I don't even think it's close. I think the Dodgers right now, Braves maybe, are the class organizations right now. I know Houston is doing it as well. I'm putting Dodgers, Braves above them. They're obviously very close. They're the class. They do everything right. And I think it has something to do with the way that they've constructed their player development, adding all those coaches. They have so many coaches. Coaches to player ratio is where it's at, and they have figured that out. So there's something that they're doing right, and I think that's it. They're just waiting for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think our strong Rays fans would say, you know, if you gave us an extra $200 million to play with, we'd have a couple different guys on the roster. But
I don't know. No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Like, you guys are all right. I've been in an organization. It's all right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about the Mets. They took 3 or 4 from Philly. They have absolutely owned them this year. What's their record? 15-4 or 14-5 against them. Phillies are happy that they're not playing the Mets anymore. I posed this question to Joe's on Baseball Today. I was like, do you think that matters in the postseason, like the regular season record? He said yes. I said probably, but everything starts over. You're at 0. Your batting average, 0. Like, everything goes back, and I think that could change things. Although the Mets against Wheeler and Nola, 9-0 in the games that they started.
That's the one that jumped out to me, man. That's unreal. That's unreal. If you told the Mets this year before the season that you'd go 5-4 against Nola and Wheeler, I think they shake your hand and they're like, yeah, because those dudes are ones. Like, I know sometimes we get caught up in aces and that whole thing. Like, look at Wheeler, what he's done the past couple years. Nola, when he's right, he's one of the more fun pitchers to watch in baseball with his pitch mix and just how it comes off. IMO a little bit. I think Jom's on that page. 9-0, and dude, this last game, this was one of the eye openers this weekend. The intensity in this game for an end of August game, 2 teams that have seen each other a lot. Gene Segura hits the big home run. He's fist pumping around first base so hard his helmet flies off. And then your boy, Mark Canha. Are you kidding me? You're telling me Mark Canha has one of the cooler bat flips in, like, baseball history?
Dude, he's been on that train for a while, man.
He's a sneaky guy, man. And the Mets are awesome. And when it comes to the Phillies in the playoffs, like, if we needed to fill 24 hours of airtime, that would be a great segment. It's the well, I don't know. Hey, come playoff time. Like, if they do it, like, they come out, if somehow these teams met up in the playoffs and they win that first Wheeler game, then you're right. That 9-0 means nothing. That's the beauty of it. But going in, like, if the Mets line up against the Phillies in a playoff series, they're going to be feeling good, man. Like, I don't have to tell you, Trev, like, if you're on a team that plays another team that much and you beat them 15-4, like, you're feeling so good going into that series. Yeah, man. And, dude, the Mets, there's so many little things, and it's why I love Buck and I love Pete Alonso. Go watch the Mark Canha homer and look at Pete Alonso at the top of the dugout, basically howling, basically a caveman playing baseball. But that's what makes it so beautiful, that, like, he is that dude. And this Mets team, man, they're really good. They are really good. And yeah, I mean, my Yanks in a funk right now in a little Subway series. Scherzer on the bump tonight. Those guys can drive a knife through Yankee fans' hearts real quick.
I was about to say, look, Philly could have salvaged this and got split 2-2. I mean, the last game could have went either way. Kind of just stole it from them. That's one of the toughest things as a ball player. You got Bohm, who hits 2 homers, he puts them up 4-0, or they get up 4-0. He hits a 3-run homer early on. They get up 4-0. That lead gets erased. He's like, all right, fuck it. I'll hit another one. Oppo this time. 7-4. I'm the hero again. Suck it. That lead gets erased. And then Segura hits a homer to go ahead. Awesome. We're going to win the game. Everyone's going to be happy. And then Canha said, no, I got it. That lead gets erased.
Yeah.
And that one was against Robertson. And I was going to say, like, Philly is hurting right now. Knievel's out for the season. Anthony Dominguez is on the IL. But you brought Robertson, you're feeling pretty good. Like, this guy's been good all year. Kind of gets to him. It was an elevated heater. Just missed a spot by Robertson. I think the Mets can hang their hat on that. We got to these guys. We got to their starters. We got to their bullpen. They think they're just all around a better team than the Phillies right now. The Braves, I think, is a different question for them. If they match up against the Braves, I think there's a little bit of hesitancy there. Even with all the things that they do well, I think the Braves are just kind of on a different level. Phillies, all their quotes afterwards were like, oh, yeah, well, the playoffs could be different. It's like, man, you wish you were on the other end of that, saying like, yeah, we beat them this season, but we're going to have to go do it again in the playoffs. They have to like make up this false bravado and say, yeah, we can still do it. And honestly, man, Mets, I think, are probably going to have the second best record in the NL. So they're going to be able to line up their pitching. And I think that's probably the biggest advantage they're going to get, is being able to throw out DeGrom and Scherzer against. And you're going to see it tonight and tomorrow as a Yankees fan.
Yeah, we'll see about tomorrow. There's some talk about getting Ty Walker back in there. But, yeah, I mean, that's the Mets. Man, those 2 Canna home runs, both up and in fastballs, so he beat him to the spot. And D-Rob, he pitched, I think he threw like 30-something bullets the night before, so he comes in, and, we now have numbers that show you're less effective if you do that. So that's where depth comes in, and you talk about Knievel going season ending. If you're the Phillies, you have to say those things in the press conference, obviously. They had us, and if we see him in October, we'll do our thing. The one guy that you circle, and a dude who changes a lot of attitudes, is Bryce Harper, who's supposed to be rehabbing this week, man. So, like, if you're the Phillies, again, go back to the episode where Bryce Harper went down, and we did basically the whole conversation was either stay alive or be so bad you're sellers at the deadline. And here they are. I mean, they are still somewhat firmly in the wild card as long as Milwaukee keeps playing like this. They're neck and neck with San Diego. They have a leg up in Milwaukee. And if they get the bad man back, like, look at Bohm's stats this year. We talked about Real Muto going for a while. If you're the Phillies, and we've said this for a while now, get that team to the dance. So if they can throw their big dogs at you, that team can win on any given day because their stars are as good as your stars, unless you're like the Dodgers.
Speak about the Braves. You want to go talk about them a little bit?
Give me a little bit.
Actually, no, that's not now. I forgot. They played an interleague series.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't jump ahead to them.
Table that.
Brewers is where I wanted to go. We'll go through this, and then we'll probably talk about the other teams quickly, then we'll move on to the AL. Brew Crew, not doing it right now. I mentioned how far back they are of the division. They're outside of the wild card. And then after the game on Sunday, there was some quotes that came out of the locker room. And it was Eric Lauer. And basically he was saying, do I have the quotes here? I do. I don't want to misquote them.
Yeah, they're
The only thing I can think of was from the top down, it seemed like there was a weird behind the scenes message that was sent that a lot of people didn't jive with. We're doing this and we're trying to put you guys in the best position and we're trying to win right now with you guys. It seemed more, he says it didn't send us the right message from the upstairs people trying to say like, we're doing this and we're trying to put you guys in the best position and we're trying to win right now with you guys. It seemed more of a we're trying to develop for the future. That comes out, how many days after the trade? 20 days after the trade deadline. They're still worried about Josh Hader and not having him. And they're talking about the moves they didn't make. I don't think that's the right way to approach this at all. I get it. I'm actually on his side with this. I was promised the big Brewers move. It didn't happen. I know they were trying to do some things offensively. It didn't happen. It takes two to tango. They get rid of Hader. You know what? That move in hindsight doesn't look that bad because he struggled with San Diego and he's actually out of the closer role there now. So you can't really point to that. The lack of urgency and the lack of help, I get wears on guys in the clubhouse. When you're a part of a team that's winning and you feel like you're going to get reinforcements and the front office doesn't do anything for you, sure, it's deflating. There's no doubt about that. But then eventually you just got to say, hey, we got the guys here and we like the guys here and we can do it. 20 days after the fact,
Yeah.
I don't think we should be talking about this to the media.
3 weeks later. No, you're absolutely right. And that's where, there's my Yankees are in a pretty bad funk right now. The Brewers are in a pretty bad funk right now. And you wonder what it's going to take to get out of it, whether it's someone going nuts, whether it's a brawl. We always look for something to be the spark, or a young player getting an opportunity. For Milwaukee, I think going from that quote, and you're so right about the Hader thing. I didn't know how to phrase it perfectly, because guess what? If Hader continues like this, which he won't, but I mean, Hader's numbers on the season right now aren't who we picture Josh Hader as. And hey, Padre fans, I hope he clicks. I hope he goes when Josh Hader's right. That's a good thing for baseball. He's had 5 outings with San Diego. So let's see what happens there. But like we talked about 3 weeks later with the Brewers, if Hader was doing what he currently has, it felt like they were a trade short at the deadline. Like, if they had added a bat or someone like that they could have said, if that front office could have come downstairs and said, like, hey, guys, the Hader decision was tough. We had to make the right move for our organization, but we also added this guy. And say they added someone who was, hitting 5th or 6th in their lineup and had a little heater, then you don't hang your head. It's like, well, damn. Maybe they had the Hader thing pegged and we added this guy. It felt like they were kind of a trade short. The Cardinals are rolling. Milwaukee's in the opposite direction. We've seen how quickly the tides of baseball can turn, and they need something to happen, because we got a month and a half, a little less than a month and a half in baseball. You better figure it out quick. Otherwise, you're going to look up and it's going to be 8 games back in the standings, and then the Central's gone, and then you're strictly fighting for the wild card. That's not where this Brewers team should be.
Disappointing, man. It really is. I still think they have a chance, but I don't like where the clubhouse is with this. And it might have been just Lauer doing this on his own, because a lot of the other guys had better quotes on it, more quotes that you want to hear from your players. But they got to get it going, and they got to get going fast. And I don't know, if you look at the Cardinals schedule, it's pretty soft. A lot of Cincinnati, a lot of Cubs, a lot of Washington. Like, it could be a big lead quickly in the Central, and the Brewers are going to have to be looking towards that wild card to get anything done. I want to move on to San Diego now briefly. Where are they at in the wild card?
Let me.
So they're up a half game for the second one.
Well, you looked that up just 30 seconds. I want to give the Cubs a little love. They've won a few series recently. I love Morel. Man, that's a guy you should know if you're a baseball fan. And Stroman gave Nico Horner a lot of love, and Nico Horner probably deserves a lot of love, because his defense is fun at shortstop, and he's been hitting enough that hey, good for you, Cubbies. I know we're talking about the sad team on the other side, but they could not be fighting at all, and they kind of are. So good for the Cubs.
The game 2 was great. We had the Wisdom game time double, and Contreras walk-off single in the 11th. That was after the Brewers took the lead in the 8th. The Cubs tied it in the 9th. They both scored in the 10th. The Brewers scored 1 in the 11th, and then Wisdom did his damn thing. Wisdom and Contreras, excuse me. So yeah, they're fighting. I like that team too. I wish they approached the season a little bit better with more urgency. We didn't really understand the signings. It kind of played out how we thought it would play out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some things that you found out this year, like Morel. Man, he's a badass. Like, you can make plans around that dude. Nico Horner, like, you just found a young starting shortstop. Yeah. That's a big development. So yeah, hopefully the Cubs are a really big player this offseason. I mean, I know Suzuki's fallen off, but there's some wins there. Ian Happ is a 9-figure guy. So yeah, hopefully this offseason the Cubs are the impact team that they should be. They're the Chicago Cubs.
They should be that.
Give me some Padres. They're currently a half game up on the wild card.
Look, I like this team a lot. I think they're going to be fine, but we've seen a collapse last year at the end of the year, right? 11-14 in July, 11-10 in August. It just hasn't been great baseball. They obviously are not going to win that division. They're a half game up for the second wild card. Like, they got to get going. Like, there's some competition down there. And, having to figure out the back end of your bullpen now is probably something you don't want to hear as a Padres fan. Splitting a series against the Nationals, probably not what you want to do as a Padres fan. I don't know. I don't foresee a collapse, but I'm wondering if that Tatis news was a catalyst for something Padres fans are not going to want. I've been on the Padres all year long too, but they just need to step it up. I guess bottom line.
And I think they can't. Their solutions are fairly easy. And you know what? They got a couple off days coming up before a road trip to Kansas City. Or they're playing Cleveland twice, surrounded by off days. When bullpen's a big concern for you, that's a double-edged sword, right? Because that you either keep digging that hole and it feels bad, but they have options, man. Like, Nick Martinez and Luis Garcia picked up saves the last 2 days. Suarez has been pitching well for them recently. And, guess what? Could we be sitting here in 2 weeks and Josh Hader has 5 straight scoreless appearances? Easily. That's kind of the life of the bullpen. So we'll see what goes on there. And you're right. It feels like they kind of need to get away from the Tatis news. And let's be honest, as media, Pujols had a funny quote about the media this week. We talked about Tatis a lot because it was big. It was big that the further and further away we get from that, the better. And they need their big dogs in the middle of that lineup. I mean, Soto, Machado, even the season Josh Bell is having, Drury, those guys got to go. And, hey, they should be happy we're not talking more about them because they dropped the first 2 to the Nats. And then they came back and they won the next 2. Mostly because of their pitching, 2-1, 2-1, Musgrove and Manoah. So, and that's where this team, that's where I always come back to this team. That starting 5, not a lot of teams can look at their 5 and, think they can get 7 innings shut every day. Not saying you're gonna, because that's not how sports or baseball works. But they need that. And, man, they have some fun stuff going on. Like the season Profar's having, the catch Ha-Sung Kim had the other day, kind of running into the stands. That was awesome.
Some
to
say
see.
it was better than Jeter's play. That's what everyone's
Some are
talking about.
saying that.
Hey, you said at the beginning of the show, It ain't the dog days of August anymore. Don't tell that to the Padres.
I think there's 3.
There are some teams out there, Jake, that would heavily disagree with that assessment.
I think there's 3 teams really in the dog days. It's the Padres, it's the Brewers, and it's the Yankees. I think those are your dog day squads.
Let's end the NL discussion on my second favorite quote of the year. My first one's still going to be Blake Snell when he said, last year we didn't get anyone, and it was sad. This year we got everyone.
Yeah.
That was all-time quote. This one comes from Pujols when he was asked after their 7th win in a row. He was asked if this is the best baseball they've played this season. That's a pretty generic, easy question. And Albert decided to answer it like this. That's for you guys, the media, to decide. I don't go by analytics.
Yeah.
That's you guys. That's your job.
It's awesome. I'm on it, Albert. I'm on it. You guys.
Analytics has taken over a meaning that I don't think it's supposed to have.
It's so funny, dude. I think it was Bruce Bochy or Ned Yost, one of those just baseball legend guys who said analytics has been around for years. We just used to call them stats. Yeah. That's all it is.
I've been trying to tell people that, dude.
I gotta figure out which one of them said that.
We just got names for things now, and we can quantify a few different things that we used to not be able to quantify. We should just say, "Oh, that happened."
Yeah.
Now you can describe why it happened, but that's it. Baseball's still the same fucking sport. Things are just a little bit different.
The ball jumps off his bat pretty good. Is now exit velo.
Yes. Got life on his fastball. High spin rate, better
rate.
spin efficiency. That's it. That's all it is, people. When people talk about launch angle and exit velo, I'm like, you guys, stop it.
Yeah.
It's how hard you hit the ball. And we always said ground balls are outs. We always said that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Trev, let's go to the American League. Reds, Graham Ashcraft, it always seems like he has a decent start. And Jake Fraley hits one into the Allegheny, first one since Soto did it in April. So that's pretty cool. That's forever. I mean, to say
and Moose, 2-run homer.
Obviously, Malibu Mike homered. And we didn't even need to say that. Let's do the American League. No real ad for the American League, but I am wearing my Team Baggage warm-up jersey. Trev, we face off tonight. Team Baggage versus the Forgotten Rotten.
This was the funnest game I played by far.
I try not to put like the Jakey actual stamp on it because we do so much content that if I said like, you need to watch, like that'd almost be unfair to people. Tonight's game, it's some of the best content we've done at John Boy Media. So
I started to figure things out. That's all I'm gonna say.
You boys are so. You guys were athletes and you learned and you got better, and it's an all-time John Boy Media product. Like if at the end of the year we did top 10 things like John Boy Media put out, I think this would easily be on the list. So JM Warehouse tonight at 6, maybe a good little warm up before you watch your team play tonight. Let's do the AL. There's one big storyline in the AL, and then there's a couple smaller things. So I think we can be fairly tidy with it.
Go ahead.
In the American League, we are starting off with the shell of my Yankees. Did Josh Donaldson save the season with their walk-off? No! They get embarrassed at the party in the first 3 games. The Blue Jays going for the 4-game sweep on the day they retire Paul O'Neill, the Warriors' number, and the Yankees say no. Nestor drops it on the table, and Andrew Benintendi, does he join the team? Big home run in that game. Hey, Blue Jays, big series for them. They dominate. Good for them. Yankees trying to get out of them dog days. The Tampa Bay Rays took 3 out of 4 from the Royals. How about Patino? Could he be a weapon for them? That's what Kevin Cash was saying. He pitched well in that first game. The Rays are going, man. The Rays are going. They get really good pitching efforts. McClanahan again. Yarby's started to go for them. Royals run the second game of that series. I keep telling you about Brady Singer. Circle that one. Draft him on your fantasy team next year. It's clicked. It's clicked. Speaking of clicking, the Baltimore Orioles win 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox, finishing out in the Williamsport game. The Orioles put up a 15-burger the first night. Sheesh. That's a big number. Waka came back for the Sox, 5.2 shutty. Good for him, man. And my guy Verdugo's been starting to go. I told you guys, he was too good for where his stats were at. The Williamsport game, Orioles win. Bogarts clips my guy Felix Bautista. That was fun. The better team won. The Orioles, the better team won that series. Speaking of not that, Athletics take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. Oakland going to the Coliseum this time of year. You're going to see young guys trying to make it in the bigs, and that's what you saw. J.P. Sears came over in the Montas trade. He pitches the last game, and he outduels Castillo. A's, they take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. That's not what Mariner fans had circled coming into that set. Rangers have taken 2 out of 3 from Trev's Twins. Trevor Plouffe was in the building, and they're actually playing Game 4 of this series tonight. A little wraparound series. We always love that. I mean, the story is off the field. It's all the legends in the stands, the M&M boys. Denard Span taking pics with Trev's Olivia Plouffe. I'll stop talking about that. How about Ari Hara comes back for Texas, 6 shutout. Good for him, man. Oh, and Taylor Hearn dropped it on the table because he is that dude. Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Halos. Angels won the first game. Sandoval, 9 shut piece, a 1-0 game. That was the only game the Halos won. The Tigers took the next two. Even finishing it off on Ohtani Day, Riley Green, 448, longest home run Ohtani's ever given up. Ooh, go on with your bad self. What? White Sox at Guardians. They split 2 as Game 3 gets postponed. White Sox win on Cueto Day, and that's obvious. Triston McKenzie, whoo, he's got that dog in him. How about it? Grandal, he's going to the IL, but he avoids major knee injury. That's your news there. The AL mid is just so mid, and that's kind of where it ends for me. That's what happened in the American League.
What'd you say about Olivia?
There was some good stuff on social media. Her, Denard Span, some your family, friends. Trev, the standings in the American League, if you don't mind. The New York Yankees have an 8-game lead on Tampa and Toronto. Thank God the Yankees won yesterday. Otherwise, it would be a 6-game lead over the Blue Jays. Instead, it's 8 for them and Tampa. Baltimore is 10.5 back. Boston is 14 back. The Cleveland Guardians are in first place in the Central. They're a game and a half up on the Twinkies. They are 2.5 up on the Chicago White Sox. And Houston continues to dominate. 11.5 game lead on Seattle. In your AL wild card, Trev, you're going to like this. The boys are locked up. Tampa and Toronto are 65 and 55. Seattle is 66 and 56. They are all even, which when we start talking about the stimulator or we start talking about playoff matchups, boy, is that going to be fun to shake up. And then outside looking in right now from the mid division, Minnesota's 2.5 back of those teams. The White Sox are 3.5 back, while Baltimore is 2.5 out. Trevor, how are you?
Yes.
How are you? You want to start with Minnesota?
You want to start with Terran Vavra? I talked to his father, Joe. The Orioles are for real.
How is Joe Vavra?
He's doing well.
Did you send my best?
I didn't talk about you once this whole weekend, but
that's
that's
true.
Not anything on you. I was busy.
You know that's a lie.
Where are we starting? Where do you want to start with the AL?
Trev, it starts with the Yankees. They hosted the Blue Jays. They are still spiraling out of control. Depending how you cut up the stats, it's one of their worst stretches in team history. It is, Trev. It's incredible. Thank God they won yesterday, because where would we be right now? Holy smokes.
Thank God for Nestor Cortez.
Thank God for Nestor Cortez Jr. and a big swing by Andrew Benintendi.
Yep.
I guess there's a couple things I want to know from you, because the Cole Manoah stuff is pretty fun. That puts a little lead in my pencil. I guess the other thing, and I'm genuinely not saying this in D-bag Jake way, but if you're on a team that's in a bad way, if you're losing a lot, like is it as simple as like one at bat at a time? Is it as simple? Does someone need to freak out? Like what do you do, man? Because the Yankees called up a couple kids. I mean, they've been fun, but not crazy impactful. Although as Oswaldo Cabrera, he has been fun, which the Yankees have needed a little bit of and made some good defensive plays. But like how do you shake the tree?
I mean, the easiest answer is win.
Right.
Like that's it. Like that's the only thing that's going to cure it. Now, how do you get a victory? It could be a number of things. I don't think it's like intensity or like fire for this team. I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like everyone's kind of been playing hard. It hasn't been like a White Sox situation where people look at them playing ball and they're like, ugh, So you can tell me if I'm wrong on that. It doesn't seem like that way from my perspective. I honestly think it's just a numbers game. Like we started off so hot, and I tried to tell Yankees fans that as hot as you're going to get now, like throughout the season, you're going to get probably equally as cold, and that's where we're at now. Now you have to find a way to dig out of this hole. I think it starts with Garrett Cole. I think he when I talk about the Mets, I said they're not going to relinquish that division lead because they have DeGrom and Scherzer. They're stoppers. They're never going to get swept in a series because they have those two guys. Cole has to be that way. You might have to have him and whoever it is. If it's Montas, it needs to step up, and Nestor has to keep going. Like in these stretches, it's your starters. They have to go out and just freaking do it themselves sometimes. Or, Judge going to get mega hot again. Even though that I guess he did and they were losing games still at that point. I think something has to happen off the field, whatever it may be. But realistically, it's about getting your starters and having someone go 7 1 earned run. Then the next night have someone go 7 shutty. Like they have to be the guys, especially on the Yankees right now. They kind of answer the bell and stop those losing streaks and like start winning streaks.
I think the Yankees' path emotionally. Let's get heavy, babe. Because Trev, you've seen this from us at the start of August. They showed flashes that they didn't care as much about these games. And I know you didn't really want to hear that. And hell, I'll tell you, I didn't want to say that. But just from what they were doing with their lineup and sending down, guys who were performing just to keep roster space for other guys, they weren't making their best foot forward to win. From there, it went to straight uninspiring. I tweeted that out one night. Our guy Feo in the chat just said that. They have now left that you're right. They're back in. Like there's fire. There's piss and vinegar in them. Boone slammed the table in his press conference. They scored a run in the first inning on a hit and run, and then the Jays left fielder threw it away, and everyone was giving big fist pumps and yells. And it wasn't for show. It was like, hey, we get it, and we have to go. And Trev, you've seen how the Yankee fan base is normally. I mean, a little unhinged, a little wired the wrong way. But when you are a 700 win percentage team in the first half, and then they're 10-20 in the second half, they're 5-14 in August, man. I mean, this was a team that was on a historic win pace for the Yankees. Like we were, remember how many EPs we did where it was like they're on pace for 118 right now? So to be in a funk this bad, they're going to come out. I just don't know if it's about to happen. They're about to face Scherzer tonight. That doesn't feel like a good time to come out of funk. Or is it? If you can put up a big boy crooked number against Scherzer, that would feel pretty good. Or they're going on a West Coast trip that ends with Tampa. That could feel like a bottoming out. But yeah, man, it's I'm interested to see when it ends because right now it's tough to watch. Joe's McFly has made a career out of watching and reacting to the Yankees. He didn't watch this weekend. He couldn't stomach it, man. It's bad.
You look, when you're on a team like this who had that success, you're mired in just a bad month, 6 weeks of baseball. You kind of got to just accept it and dive into the mud, bro.
Yeah.
You got to dive in there and say, we got to do something and get dirty to get out of here. Like you have to. In saying that, Yankee fans, if I told you your team was going to have the 5th best winning percentage in baseball and you're going to be up 8 games on August 22nd, you'd be pretty happy. So I'm calling on Yankees fans to just take a step back, have some perspective on where the season is at. Now, do we need them to turn things around quickly? Because as you mentioned, it could have been 6 games last night. Yeah, we need them to turn it around quickly. But I think you're in a good spot. I think tonight's the perfect time to get out of this shit. Scherzer, we'll see if DeGrom throws tomorrow. You're right. Walker might get slotted back in. Who knows? If you face Scherzer and DeGrom and you win both of those, that's the spark you need. If you win one of those, even that could be the spark you need. If you're these guys are top of the top, but we saw what the Dodgers did to Alcantara. The good teams can beat these dudes. So I think they should really go into these games with a ton of intensity. I'm sure they will. That place is going to be rocking tonight. It's going to be rocking tonight. So, that's the thing about me is if I'm on the Yankees, there ain't no chance I'm ever feeling sluggish out there because the crowd is – you can draw energy from that crowd. You can't say that about every place in the big leagues. You can draw your energy off their crowd. So if I ever see a fucking Yankee player being all boo-boo lip and like having no energy, I question that guy, because all you got to do is look into the crowd. They're either going to be yelling at you for motivation, or they're going to be cheering your ass on for motivation. You can take it both ways.
Yeah, I know. We're not ready to go to the Orioles yet, but they won the Little League game, and there was big fireworks at the end. And Rushman was just looking at him like, how cool is this, man? I'm playing Major League Baseball, and there's fireworks. And that's, Yankee Stadium isn't that every day. But, dude, the crowd has wanted to erupt this whole homestand. And they got to a little bit yesterday. And, Trev, Cole and Manoah. Manoah hits big Aaron Judge. If you don't know, first base was open. He plunks Judge with a good one.
Didn't it hit his elbow pad, though?
It was hard to tell because his pad goes under the jersey, so it either caught the pad perfectly or it got him, kind of where the horse kicked me in my tricep. People
Show me that again.
People were wondering. People were wondering if it was intentional, and Manoah and Judge, they link up a little bit, and they're both big boys. And Manoah gave him like a, dude, there's really no reason for me to do that. I've been missing there all day. Like, and Judge gave him the you're good. Judge kind of gives the whole bench a like, let's not, which mixed reaction from Yankee fans there.
Oh, really?
I mean,
why?
I can't believe I'm saying this. And we did a whole Talkin' Yanks last night. That was deep dive into all the Yankee problems. So if you want to hear that, go check it out.
I need to get ready for this. Hold on.
Trev, I cannot believe how much I've fallen in love with Garrett Cole, the bench presence, and the post-game interview Garrett Cole. We've made our jokes about him. The two Stags thing was an unreal one, and some of the Ancient Warriors, some of the pre-prepared stuff, you're like, what is this? Dude, he has a fire in him that is supposed to be what Donaldson was going to bring to this team, and an intensity. And, dude, he's taken post-game pressers in games he doesn't play in. He doesn't have to do that, but he wants to do that. He wants to be a team leader, and he's been pissed off from this streak, and that's where you're absolutely right. If you told Yankee fans before the season you'd have an 8-game lead on August 22nd, we'd say yes. If you told Yankee fans you're going to be horrible after the trade deadline or the All-Star game and you're going to have one of the worst Augusts ever in team history, I think everyone would say, hold up. If you're the players, that should piss you off, and that's where it's kind of the difference between what a manager and a player should do. And Jimmy hit this last night on Talkin' Yanks, is that when Aaron Boone does his press conference, he should let out the one hit on the table, but he should also be the clear head and say, you know what, we have an 8-game lead. Like, we're going to be okay. Like, he's supposed to give those quotes to the media. Judge gave a very similar one, and Judge is a stoic guy. Like, that's who he is. He's kind of the Yankee way. I mean, Cole, Cole's about to go nuts because and that's what New York likes from their players. That's why Paul O'Neill just had his number retired, because he hated losing. He hated making it out. So I don't know. I think both sides kind of handled it fine. Manoah, after the game, says, Cole, if you want to make something about it, why don't you come past the Audi logo that the Yankees have on their field? Being a young, tough, huge guy in the major leagues, it is what it is, but it was very Blue Jays. Like, that's kind of the Blue Jays demeanor, right?
I don't know, man. I think these two starting pitchers talking, knowing that nothing's ever going to happen between them. That's just all talk to me. Garrett Cole, that's what he did, is all for show. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you. He wants to be that leader. He's being paid to be that leader. He has to be that guy. So I think a lot of things he does, like, he knows the cameras are on him. He knows he can get held back. He knows all these things, but he wants us to talk about him in that light. I appreciate the effort from Cole. I think he is truly fired up too, because I know I've been there. Like, you get frustrated with times like this. Like, they want to win a World Series, dude, and they're trending in the absolute wrong direction. And what I said about being happy with where you're at, that's just for the fans.
Right.
Like, players ain't they're gonna be pissed. You want your players to say, we're going to play 700 ball all year long, even though you know that that's not possible. necessarily. But like, I just think that whole situation kind of got overblown. And again, Cole, like, he has to do that stuff. He should be doing that stuff. I'm fine. I'm actually, like, I've grown to respect and love Garrett Cole. Like, he just is Garrett Cole. Like, he's a little corny sometimes, but it's a hell of a pitcher, and I think he can be a leader there, and he wants to be, which I think is the most important part.
Dude, some of the post-game pressers are border the line between awesome leadership and accidentally hilarious. So I've fallen head over heels for it, and I can't believe that. I mean, remember that final Astros exit interview when they lost the World Series and he had the Boris hat on, and how weird that was, and he's had a couple weird ones.
He's a strange
since.
cat, bro.
He's an interesting dude, and guess what? He should be. He was a guy that turned down being a first-round pick like yourself in high school, and then he came back and he was the one pick, and this dude is just wired completely differently than you and I, and that's okay. But I've loved what he's been for this team. Where do you stand on the Blue Jays? We got to see more, or are they almost Phillies-esque that this team's probably going to be in the dance, and that's when it's going to be Judgment Day for them? And I'm going to be talking about Gausman in a little bit, so I don't know if we need to go there.
Yeah, I think, look, they pitched well this season. Barrios had a good start. Gausman had a good start. So White only 4 innings pitched, and then Manoah comes and he does his thing for 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. So I think that was the main thing. Springer's been really good. They're a dangerous team. 100% they're a dangerous team. Trending in the right direction. I think that's whoever they have to face. And right now, let me see. I had all this stuff up. Where is it? Right now, Toronto would face Tampa. And I would pick Toronto to win that series. Like, I see this Toronto team getting into a DS series and having to play, whoever they have to play. I think they're really good.
That's it's going to be so funny. And dude, I think after Labor Day, how hype we are going to start getting for these potential playoff matchups. Because that one's so fun because the Blue Jays, they have their guys. Gausman, Manoah, Barrios, they're going to get the pill, and the Blue Jays are going to expect a big effort out of them. And that's where Tampa's hilarious. Because say if Gausman were to have a bad day, Toronto's going to live and die by that. Where the Rays, they don't really care who's on the mound except McClanahan. Like, if someone's not there, they're going to kick it to all their weirdos in the bullpen and try to win that. So that's funny that's the current matchup. So much ball to be played, and those teams literally have the same record right now that we'll see when we get there.
If the Jays are one of those teams that if they get both sides of the ball clicking at the same time, they might, they're one of the better teams in all of baseball. And that's kind of what it's all about during the playoffs. Can we line up the things that we need to line up?
Man, George,
we should have moved on from this series a long time. We talked too much Yankees.
George Springer. Dude, this was, to be genuine, and some of the AL teams don't want to hear this, that was the big topic in the American League. It kind of really is. So we should move quicker through these other ones. Rays took 3 out of 4 from the Royals. Again, not your biggest surprise there. The game the Royals won was in 10 innings. Singer versus McClanahan, which I think that was
a good game right there.
I think that's
good
a
matchup.
That's a game you circle more in the coming years. But Patino's starting to pitch for these guys. Yarborough's turned it on of late. They did get bad news. Wander Franco was supposed to start kind of figuring it out. He has no timetable to return. I think that's a big one for them. But Rays gonna Rays, man, and they're the Rays. They are the Rays.
Cash said right now our goal is to win series. They won their 3rd series in a row. We don't know how they do it all the time, but they do find a way. The Wander news is troubling. You're banking on him to come back. He's still feeling a little bit of soreness in his wrist. Not great, but I know Patino went back down to AAA. I had huge high hopes for this guy, especially when he goes over to the Rays. I thought he might turn into what Sandy's turned into. To be honest with you, that's kind of what I thought of this guy. Things haven't turned out that way, but if maybe he gets another shot towards the end of the year, he can stick. That'd be cool to see. But yeah, 3 or 4, they're winning the games they need to win for sure.
Yeah, and by the way, Luis Patino is still only 22. So like,
Is he really?
yeah, man. So like, let's like that guy. I wouldn't write it off yet that he'll be something, because there's a lot of guys that don't get up to the majors.
I like watching him pitch
until they're 25 or so. And dude, something that's evolving with the Rays, that bullpen. Jason Adam has kind of been their breakout guy this year. Pete Fairbanks is back and throwing harder than he used to. My guy. So yeah, man, the dynamics are changing there a little bit. They're 7-2 in their last 9. The Rays are going Rays. And Royals.
Shout out Max Castillo on the Royals. He had his big league debut. He pitched 5 innings, 1 earned run. So you always got to mention that. It's a great debut.
Red Sox and O's. And this is kind of a big series for both of these teams as they try to either fend each other off or go. Orioles end up taking 2 out of 3. And it all finishes at the Little League World Series game, which I decided I'm a huge fan of, man. Everything around that was so much fun. The guys arriving and sliding down the hill was super cool. Even that backdrop of all the little kids sitting in the front row behind home plate in that game, it's awesome. It's easy to always be tough on MLB and Uncle Rob. The Little League World Series game, they kind of got that figured out. I know, Orioles Red Sox this time of year wasn't exactly the dream matchup for this stage, but it was also awesome. I mean, not to be rude to Orioles fans, they've been the upstart team this year and all of that, but them showing up to the stadium and getting that much love, it was almost like the Orioles deserved this. Like the Orioles truly deserve this, and they end up taking 2 out of 3, which for those two teams right now, that's really important for Baltimore.
It really is. I've really enjoyed watching them turn into the team that they've turned into. I frequently mention a couple guys in our team, Vavra and Mateo. Vavra just is because I know him. Mateo's a ton of fun to watch play. I think the Red Sox, I know they're fighting to stay in it. They're like 6.5 back now, 2 games under 500. I don't know if they got what it takes to turn it around. Maybe, Jake. Maybe, but I just don't foresee that happening.
Their good guys are so lovable. Bogarts takes Felix up top. That was pretty nuts. I love Verdugo. You gotta love Devers. It just doesn't feel like it, and you're starting to run out of time to say now or never. And there's a lot of teams ahead of them, man. That it feels like we're nearing the end of this. And, man, watching that game last night, it wasn't like, how do these Orioles do it? It was like, no, the better team won. And that's where we're at. The Red Sox are last place in the AL East.
Rutschman has been, kind of the reason. I posed a question to Joe's earlier today in baseball today, like, is he going to catch Julio Rodriguez in an AL Rookie of the Year? He might. Vegas still has him as the second favorite at plus 300. Julio's got a sizable lead in that regard. But like, if you look at the numbers, like Rutschman's just been like better offensively. The WAR isn't there because Julio steals a little bit more bases, but I think they both play premium positions. Like Rutschman and if you're an Orioles fan, you're just very excited about the future, and not to mention this year. I think this year is still in play, which is like, think about how crazy that is for us to say, Jake.
It's crazy.
We all predicted them to be under 62.5 wins, I believe.
Yep. I think we might lose that one.
I think we might lose that one, man. And we know that every year there are teams that just kind of answer the bell and figure things out. And I guess last year we could have said it was the Mariners, and they fell a little bbit short there at the end. They're hoping the Orioles don't suffer that same fate, but they were the team this year, man. They just kind of came out of nowhere. Played a little bit of different brand of baseball. I guess them and the Guardians, you can kind of probably say the same thing about, although the Guardians had that starting pitching that we liked, but they've just kind of done it in a different way. I feel like you can say the same thing about the Orioles.
And Rutschman's an absolute superstar. If you watch that guy's press conferences too, I mean, he's like happy-go-lucky. He's got a little like glass now in him that he's like, kind of life's bigger than baseball, but also baseball's awesome. So let's do this. He's incredible. A's Mariners. A shout out to the A's for taking 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. They take the second game in extras there, and man, it's the A's call up Langeliers, the big prospect, the big catching prospect in the Oakland trade. They got J.P. Sears throwing the pill for them. He was the Yankees starting pitcher they got back for Montas. So, it's easy, kind of like I said about the Cubs, and they're in different classes. But, there's something to be said about an Oakland team in August, a bunch of young dudes doing it at the MLB level, and they take 2 out of 3 from Seattle. So, bad news, Blackburn will be shut down for the season. You hate to see that. But yeah, Sears out dueling Castillo on that final day. That's a fun one.
I saw some bad stuff on the A's this morning going around on Twitter.
Sure.
Like Chad Pinder, my guy, highest paid A at $2.75 million. Oh man. I don't know what there is to say about the A's. The Mariners, they lose on a tough one in the middle game.
Yeah, the chopper.
Steele can't field the chopper. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about the A's. The Mariners, Suarez creeping towards his freaking RBI total, had the 2 homers, 5 RBIs. His swing looks really good. He's still striking out a lot, but the one ball he hit was like a curveball. He smashed into left field. Such a pretty freaking swing, man. I don't know. Go Mariners.
Yeah.
Still rooting for the Mariners.
Figured out Mariners, same record they had at this point last year. So that's a funny one there.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. The surviving.
They're all jumbled up there at the end of the wild card, like you said, 65 and 55 and 66 and 56.
Yeah.
What do you got on that? You're taking you got Mariners, Toronto, and Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
You think it's going to be those 3 teams? You have Minnesota 2.5, Baltimore 2.5, Boston 3.5, or excuse me, Chicago 3.5 back.
Yes, I do, because I think the AL Central will still shake, but I don't think one of them will get the wild card. I think those are the 3 best teams. Tampa is just a really well-run organization. Toronto and Seattle have silly talent on their team, man. That like those teams in a playoff series can take down anyone in baseball. That I know the National League is scarier on paper, but if Toronto and Seattle can be the best versions of themselves, dude, that's in a 3-game set. Never mind a 5-game set. You don't want to play those guys, man. They're really good. They're really good. You any on the field takes from Twins Rangers?
Oh boy. Yeah, both those teams kind of seem like the Rangers don't necessarily have a direction. I did get to talk with Simeon a little bit. I talked with my guy back here, Brad. T. Hunge is mad at me. I didn't make contact with him. I was just busy, man. I'm sorry.
More on him
Taylor
later.
Hearn.
Yeah.
More on him later. Okay, good. All the things I'm hearing about the Twins is it's the same kind of problem. We're still missing some starting pitching. Offensively, we can get it done. We have a lot of guys kind of playing out of position. I did see Jose Miranda make a nice play at third base, but it's like there's just enough there, and you have to like get everything out of every single player to win that division, and that's not what you want to have as like your strategy. Like you understand there are going to be underperformances, there are going to be guys that maybe step it up, and like I said, they have some good players on the team. It really, to me, it's all going to come down to the pitching. And I mean, on both sides, the starters and the relievers, they have some good relievers in the back, but I just don't think that they have the guys to move ahead in the division. And then if they made the wild card, like I just don't think they have the guys to go head to head. I've been trying to like convince myself otherwise, but when I went in there and talked to guys around the organization, it almost feels like everyone's feeling the same way. Like, man, this has kind of been going on for quite some time. I had some stuff that we might have to talk about off being said, but they got to figure out ways to develop starting pitching, or they got to find ways to go out there and get it via trade or free agency. I mean, Molly, he went down.
Yeah.
He's on the IL now. I don't know, man. Archer had a pretty good start when I watched him. That was cool to see. But I hate like talking bad about these guys because I do know them all and I do like them all, but I just don't think I think that's kind of where they're at. Like they have to have everything has to go perfect for them right now, and that's just not a way to construct a baseball team.
Yeah, the fact Rocco's got to answer questions about Duran starting ever again, it's like that's just not what you want to be talking about at this point of the year. That's good that Arch had a good start while you guys are out there. That's cool. It's your boy.
He's good. Yeah, no, he looked good, and they end up losing that game in extras. Fun game, but lost it.
Tigers Angels. I think I'll give you 30 seconds, Trev. The thing that stand out are the performances. Sandoval, Manning, Riley Green clips Ohtani. I think those performances are cool, but baseball wise, part of this season, I kind of got nothing.
I love that Riley Green homer.
Yeah, that was cool.
He smacked that into that triangle out there. A lot of balls go to die out there. His went up deep, almost to the bricks out in right center.
He's talented, man. He made a nice diving catch in center field. I hope next year's Tigers can be a lot more fun than this year's Tigers. 5 shut from Erod, first start since May 18th. Remember that whole thing?
I don't know. You're giving an award to Sandoval?
I'm not.
I feel like you got to mention that. We got to mention that performance there. He does the Maddox complete game shutout, 97 pitches. I got a lot of his baseball cards. Always have to mention that.
Yeah.
9 Ks, 4 hits. He faced one batter over the minimum. That's an incredible start. Especially on the road.
Complete game shutty. He's having a really nice year, and he seemed like one of those guys you circled coming into this year that if he did this, that would be really big for the Angels. Unfortunately, it is not. It is not, but really big year from him. 20 starts, a 3.14.
And Trout looks good. He came back, looks good.
We like
Hit the
that.
shit out of some balls, made some catches.
And then tough one here, Trev. 2 games between the White Sox and the Guardians. I think, again, it's more performance-based. I think you're going to hear about one of these performances very soon. I think you might hear about 2 of these performances very soon. So, I don't know. I think we're coming up on my 2 weeks where I said the White Sox would take the division, and they're still 2.5 back. So I kind of AL mid.
Acting mid, some good pitching performances. I think we're going to talk about both of them in a little bit, so we can't really go into them. There's some interesting quotes by Cueto, and obviously La Russa is always
oh my god
something. For Guardians fans, Nolan Jones gets optioned down. Palacios gets recalled. Jones came out banging initially. Then he's just 6 for his last 37. So I think they are maybe saying, hey, while we can, go get some reps in, and then I guess they'll have to decide if they bring him back up, because it takes 10 days. So they won't be able to call him back up unless there's an injury for him to be eligible for the postseason. That's an interesting one for me.
No, you have to be on the 40.
You just have to be in the organization.
You have to be on the 40.
You don't have to be on the 40, man. Just in the organization.
Because that
by
was
September.
September 1's the cutoff.
Yeah, because that was
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But no, if you're on the, you're good. That's why Iglesias for the Red Sox, he couldn't do it last year because he wasn't.
They got him on
September
September 12th.
Okay.
He'll be good.
Okay. Why am I thinking that? Are you sure?
It's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit of a tricky rule. It's kind of like reverse NBA. NBA wants you to have late.
Wait, hold on, because you guys need to explain this to me, because previously, if you were up in September, you weren't eligible for the postseason roster. You had to be up by August 31st.
You have to be. I thought it was you have to be on the 40-man before September 1st. BBD's saying you have to just be in the organization. So it's
the nerd blogs I read say in the organization.
I think the only reason that rule is implemented is for the Jose Iglesias situation, that if a team cuts and runs on a veteran in September, that they all can't go to the same team, kind of. I think. But again, one of baseball's trickier ones. Trev, there is one last just really good series that was the only interleague series. I don't think we need to play the tunes on it. Braves Astros. I mean, talk about potential World Series here. Two of the best teams linking up in an interleague series. The Braves take the first two. The second game goes to 11 innings. There's some Matt Olson date my daughter stuff. Travis d'Arnaud is getting involved. Ozuna from the Braves is a situation. I'm gonna defer the kickoff, man. What do you want from this series?
Shout out Kyle Wright, doing his thing. He's got 15 wins on the season, and he's been really good. I think that's really good for the Braves, seeing his development. That was a good game for the Braves. They kind of just took it to them. Then the second game was kind of like the back and forth type game. Matt Olson has I love our notes talking about Matt Olson's game tying double, check swing through the shift ground ball type situation. And then d'Arnaud with the walk-off single in the 11th. It was 1-1 through 9. Both teams scored 2 in the 10th, and the Astros scored 1 in the 11th before the Braves scored the 2 to walk it off. And then the last game was a nice pitcher's duel. Urquidy goes 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. And Morton goes 6 innings pitched with 2 earned runs, 11 freaking Ks. And Tucker had the go-ahead RBI single in the 8th. The Braves are playing really good baseball. They took 3 of 4 from the Mets and then took 2 of 3 from the Astros. 5-2 in those 2 series is like as good as you could hope to do. And if you're a Braves fan, you're just like, you're rocking and rolling right now. I mean, everything is going the Braves' way right now. Everything. Your young guys are coming up. It wouldn't shock me if Vaughn Grissom had a freaking contract by the time the year is over. Some team-friendly deal that locks him up too. He's been, like, you talk about spark plugs and what Oswaldo Cabrera has been. Like, Vaughn Grissom has been every bit of that. Every bit of that. The energy that he plays with is really palpable. And like him and Michael Harris, the second, and then you throw in Strider there. I mean, you're talking about just incredible performances by young guys that really just take this team to like the next level.
Kyle Wright, I think he just won his 15th game. Like it's unreal, the youth on that team. And man, this is just high level baseball. I know it sounds dumb, but I mean, just look at both of these Strider and Javier both go 6 innings, 1 earned. Urquidy and Morton, 7 innings, 2. Morton, 6-2. Like, just a high-level brand of baseball. 2 of the best teams in baseball. And you're right on the Braves, man. Like, you leave that stretch, and now you're going Pittsburgh, off day. St. Louis, so that'll be an interesting one. And then they start a homestand with Colorado. Like, these guys might give the Mets a scare, and I didn't think they would. And it's they're so good. They're such a good franchise.
They're in a great position right now. I mean, they're most likely, like I said, they're gonna have to play a wild card matchup because the Mets schedule just kind of allows them, I think, to keep the lead in the division. But dang, the Braves are good, man.
They're good. You know who else is good? So many guys. The standout performance list was as good as it gets. And speaking of standouts, Trade Coffee stands out from the rest because there's a lot of people that drink coffee. I drink coffee. Trev's drinking coffee right now. Guess what? We all pretty much drink different coffee. We all have different palates. We all like a different amount of cream or sugar or just black, however you like your coffee. And guess what? What Trade Coffee does, you go on, you take their quiz, and they're going to line you up with the right coffee for you. They have 450 different kinds of live and ready to ship every day. There's no one perfect coffee, but there is a perfect coffee for you. And Trade's human-powered algorithm will help you find that out. So what you need to do is go to drinktrade.com/baseball. drinktrade.com/baseball. You'll get $30 off your first order and free shipping at Trade Coffee. I mean, that much off, like 40 different cups of Joe for you. That's not too bad. Go check them out. Trade Coffee, 5 million bags of fresh coffee already delivered by them. Get involved with them. Get a better coffee for yourself, your perfect coffee with Trade. Drinktrade.com/baseball. $30 off your first order and free shipping. Trevi, you want to do your standout?
I'm giving it to two pitchers, both from the AL mid, as Jake likes to call it. Johnny Cueto, mentioned him, 8 2/3, shutty, only 2 Ks, which I love. A lot of soft contact there, 1 walk. And the other guy is Triston McKenzie, our friend, who's been doing it all year. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 14 Ks, and no walks. I wanted to just give it to Triston because of that. CC was in attendance, and Triston said that was like unbelievable to do that in front of like one of the guys who was his idol. He's got a sub-1 whip, 3.11 ERA. Like he's turned into who the Guardians thought he would turn into, and it's really cool to see. He's still skinny as all hell, so it's funny that CC is like his idol because it's like the opposite. And then Cueto, gets taken out, 1 out before a complete game, but he has been we talked about him quite a bit. He started the whole like White Sox need a fire thing as he went out into the media and said that, but he's the fire.
Yeah.
Dude, he's got 17 games started this year, and he's got a 2.58 and a 4.1 Baseball Reference WAR. Johnny Cueto, guys, who is 36 years old, who like was an afterthought. You bring him in and you're like, oh, okay, we'll see what this guy can do. He's been their best pitcher. Him and Cease.
Yeah, Cease has been, but
yeah, him and Cease. I mean, these guys have just, again, both of them kind of afterthoughts. I know Cease had, a little bit of momentum coming into the season, whatever, but Cueto's really held this team together, and McKenzie is just one of my favorites. So I wanted to mention them both because there were a lot of really good stand-up performances this week.
Sticks has the whip under 0, 23 games, a 3.11 ERA. And by the way, we've said it a few times, but we won't say it enough. You won't meet a nicer dude. Dude just wanted to hang out at our spring training house, and he did for hours. Super friendly with everyone. There's also a funny video. Him and Joe's played MLB The Show. You can go find that for a good time. And yeah, dude, he's been lights out lately. And I mean, what was that, 14 Ks? I mean,
no walks.
That's no joke, man. I mean, you got to be pretty special to do that. I know his curveball, it's one of the best in the league when it's right. And Cueto, yeah, the White Sox would be irrelevant to this season if not for Johnny Cueto.
100%.
And
100%.
That's insane. That's insane. Trev, I went a different route with it. Because again, I mean, George Springer, 5 hits. You could always talk about Pujols, Sandoval. You mentioned the Maddox. I'm going with Dustin May because of the importance of what it could mean for this season. Dustin May comes back, returns to the Dodgers in 2022. I remember when he went down last year, it was kind of just this all-around baseball, including us, where it was like, I mean, this dude's next. It feels like this dude's next, and he was going to be missing from our lives. Well, guess what? He's back, and in his first game back, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. No earned runs, 71 pitches. You talked about the Dodgers pitching whoever's hot, and sometimes we don't talk about the Dodgers a lot because they're so good. There's not a ton of juicy conversation to be had there. Their pitching come the postseason, there is juicy conversations to have there. And if Dustin May looks like this guy, he's going to be a guy that's pitching big postseason innings for them. And it's some of the grossest pitches in the sport, to the fact that, you'll remember some of my Dustin May takes were pretty wonky because I was like, maybe his fastball moves too much, which
you did say
that doesn't really make sense. And I acknowledged that at the time, but God, man, he's back. He's back, and he may be the most talented pitcher on the best team in baseball. I don't know.
We'll see. That's interesting for the Dodgers because you have him coming back, and then if you get Kershaw coming back, they're talking about possibly going to a 6-man through September, or they can get one of these guys ready for the pen, which is a Dustin May guy. Do you put him in the pen or do you keep him as a starter? Like, I think maybe that's the answer? I don't know.
It gets tricky because I like that because look how good Urias was out of the pen for them, and they used him out as a weapon. But also coming off TJ, maybe they just want to keep him regular. That he knows when he's getting the pill. But it's going to be an interesting conversation in Dodgerland. It's kind of the only conversation because their lineup is stacked.
They have the 3 guys at the top. It'll be Alexander, Urias, Gonsolin. They'll figure out 4, which could be May and Kershaw, and then I guess they can move some other guys, Heaney and Pepio to the pen and kind of fit. I don't know. They got a lot of options, which is, of course they do because they're the Dodgers.
It's good to have options. Beebs, these guys haven't had some good options over the last little bit, and it's Slump Watch. Unfortunately, we see Taylor Ward on here. Super interested to see where his season ends up at. Remember when he was the talk of the town?
Couple pedals.
All JM team for a little bit. He goes 0 for 11. Javi Baez, man. Let's hope we get the real Javi Baez next year for Detroit. Luis Urias. Ooh, hate to see that. He goes 0 for 10. Nico Horner, as I give him compliments, he did put up an 0 for 9. The defense is really nice. And, the hitting's been pretty good this year, too, so that'll come around. And then Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he goes 1 for 13. So, hey, of everyone on this list, he's killing it. But we want to see all of those guys turn it around. So there's your Slump Watch. Give me the good stuff now.
Dirt nasties on Fuego. That means I'm on fire, baby. Like Waco.
Trev, you want to tell me about these big boys? You might be muted. You're definitely muted.
I muted myself because Isla was in here trying to ask me some questions.
Okay.
In Fuego, we start with Albert Pujols, 5 for 8, 2 homers. We saw him against Bumgarner. He got hit by a pitch too. Paul Goldschmidt, who's just been on this list the entire time. We should call it the Paul Goldschmidt list.
Yeah.
7 for 14, 2 homers, 6 ribbies. Mark Canha, we saw him. Is it Canha or Canha? I play with the guy. I have no idea. Same difference. 4 for 10, 2 homers, big bat flips. Eugenio Suarez, hate that you're on this list, but love you, bro. 4 for 11, 2 homers, 6 ribbies. Seiya Suzuki, love to see you here. 5 for 11, a homer, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs. Nate Lowe, I always have to remember which one it is. Nate Lowe, 7 for 14, a homer, 2 RBIs. Anthony Santander, 6 for 13, a homer, 2 doubles, and 5 ribbies. Our guy Adley Rushman, 6 for 13, a homer, a double, 2 RBIs. And then you're going to have to help me out with this one. Eleuteris Montero.
All around it, yeah.
3 for 13 with 3 Jimmy Jacks, though,
Yeah.
and 6 RBIs. And that is who was in Fuego at the plate.
If all of your hits are home runs, you get a chance to be on In Fuego.
Baseball Reference has that first name as Eleuteris Montero.
Eleuteris.
We'll double check with Kelsey Winger, and we're about to check with Kelsey Winger in a second as we head to awards, and awards are brought to you by DraftKings. College football is back. It's unreal. I can't believe it's like the end of August 22nd. College football is back, and there's great offers at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can bet $5 on any team, and you'll get $200 in free bets instantly, win or lose. If that's not your bag, maybe their parlays are. Rack up a couple to get a bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY. Bet $5 on any college football and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's code JOHNBOY, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. We got the long one. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for terms and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Tennessee. Call or text the Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. One per customer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued at 8 $25 free bets. God, I'm kind of fucking crispy. Hit it, Beebs.
Awards!
Trev, you have the honors.
Just need to hang around Kelsey more.
Yeah, good energy,
Good
man.
vibes.
Can't replace that energy.
Unbelievable. All right, mine is it's I don't have a good. Oh yeah, I did. I came up with a good name.
Yeah,
for
you
it.
did.
The Iron Bank.
Yep.
Everyone knows what's the Game of Thrones prequel that's out now? The House of Targaryen, House of Dragons. I think.
Yep.
Watched that last night. Olivia tried. She fell asleep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for her. I'm probably going to rewatch it today. I thought it was excellent. So go check that
Yeah?
out. The Iron Bank. Everyone knows about the Iron Bank. You need the Iron Bank to be successful. And yesterday, the Mets needed a banker to be successful. Yes, I'm talking about lefty Nate Fisher. Now, I wasn't familiar with the story until this happened. And Mark Canha, who's on his team, wasn't familiar with the story either. He comes in, makes his debut. He throws 3 scoreless. He has to wait out a rain delay to do it. All of his family's in attendance. And the reason we're calling him the banker is, he's undrafted out of college. He signs with the Mariners, goes and has a minor league season there, and then COVID happens. And I've heard this story quite a bit with COVID, where a lot of guys, the minor league season got shut down. If you weren't at the alternate site, you were just literally at home, trying to figure out something to do. So he, with all the uncertainty, took a job at a bank from one of his former coaches, started working there. No shame in that. I understand that's how things go. Then he got the opportunity the following year, signed a minor league free agent deal with the Mariners again. Then this year, signed a minor league free agent deal with the Mets. So he's kind of been working his way up. Gets a debut last night. Works around a walk in the first inning. Then the rain delay happens, but he said, fuck it. I'm going to continue pitching. There's like a 45-minute rain delay. Goes out there and throws 2 more. Is instrumental in a huge win against Philly. And I think it's just really cool. Like he did what he had to do. Like you go to work because there's some uncertainty. Then you come back and you decide you want to pitch again, and you work your way back up to the big leagues and pitching a really meaningful game. Shared it with all his families and friends. And man, like hats off to him. 3 scoreless with the rain delay is a pretty cool debut story. So Iron Bank, Nate Fisher. King's Landing needs the Iron Bank. Queens needs Nate Fisher, the Iron Bank Award.
I mean, I love it. It's one of those, you hear a story like this in baseball. And yeah, man, I mean, put it in the Mets magic pot this year that this dude comes up and makes his debut and has that kind of performance. Passan was tweeting about it, which is really good. Passan, he gets really Roman ready for a story like this. And this is awesome, man. And hey, the life in the bullpen, guess what? Our friend and colleague, Peter Moylan, didn't make his major league debut until he was 27, and then he had a 12-year career out of the MLB bullpen. So, I don't know. I don't know what the rest has for Nate Fisher. I hope the story continues to go like something like that. But good for him, man. And that takes a lot, man. It takes a lot to leave it and then come back and still believe in yourself that you'll get that opportunity. So good for him, man. And I hope he's nails. Go shove. The Nets, every team can use bullpen. Let's talk about you in October, kid.
Big old lefty banger, too. Give me that.
I mean, you take that up top, but that's good news for you.
That's true.
You're not out there.
I'm out of the league.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about that. Jim. Jeez. Trev. Sorry. I'm going to give out the Gymnastics Award. I guess that's what I was thinking about, Jim. Known gymnast. And it has Jim in the name. Trev, I know you have a passion for gymnastics, pommel horse, the rings, uneven bars, all of that.
Floor routine.
Floor routine, and something you often see in a floor routine is a good split. And holy smokes, Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman and the Jays, we talked about them a little bit. Got him. Kevin Gausman, the stat.
I had no idea where you were
going. Pick him up to put him down, baby. Kevin Gausman, he's thrown over 700 splitters this year. 700 times. He's cocked back from the mitt, had that ball jam between his fingers, let it rip. over 700 times. Only one time has it been barreled. Only one time has that pitch
Ooh, I think I know who did it.
been barreled. Who do you think got him?
I think it was on the Orioles. Am I right?
I can try to double check it quick.
If you don't have it in front of you, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I do have it. It's my guy, Andrew Vaughn got him. How about that?
Okay.
Full
White
circle.
Sox legend.
So that's one of those stats that you hear things about baseball and you're like, wooga, wooga, wooga. How does that happen? How can that pitch be so good that guys can't hit it? I mean, the splitter itself is an interesting pitch, but a bad splitter is a really hittable pitch. When a bad splitter just kind of comes in at 85 and sits over the middle of the plate, that's you need a new ball usually. He's only given up one barrel on his splitter this year. He's impressive, man. He's been really good for a few years now, and when we talk about the Blue Jays, there's a really good chance they're going to be in the dance. There's a really good chance this guy's going to be on the big stage. And guess what? If it's a 1-2 count or an 0-2 count, you're in for a bad time. He leads the AL in FIP. And yeah, I mean, he's a guy that any given day, you can bring your bat to the plate, but it just might not work. So I want to give Gausman a little bit of love. And hopefully Toronto can get a little hot and announce themselves coming into the playoffs, because that's the talent this team has. And Gausman, Manoah, man, if it's one of those 3-game series, that might be all you see. That might be all you see. So shout out to Gausman for being a stud. Basically an unhittable splitter. And that's kind of all I got. You got a best friend?
Oh, do we have a best friend? It is Taylor Hearn Hunge. 3 perfect innings, 5 strikeouts, first career save, 3-inning save. Love that rule. His first best friend of the week award this year. We're up to 18 guys who have received it this year.
Got a lot of friends.
We got a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like not a lot of best friends, just friends.
Should we do the all best friends team to end the year? That's a good way to make enemies for no reason.
That is I like that. Taylor Hearn, you're on the best friend list. I'm
Beebs,
sorry I didn't reach out to you.
He's awesome. I was texting him yesterday, so sorry about it.
He saw me.
And I think I sure did. I've got a really good quote from him that I think the elevator's closed today. He
out of order.
He asked me how I'm doing. I was like, good, man, busy, getting through the dog days. And Taylor Hearn said, Dog days ain't meant for puppies, and last check, Big Jake ain't no puppy. So,
does he want you on the Rangers?
He kind of wants me on the Rangers.
Maybe that's your
personal
retirement
catcher.
check.
He's seen the blitz ball. He's seen the tape.
Jake sucks.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday. Woo! Huge up.
People are complaining about us saying the Rays are going Ray. I want to know what that means.
Means they win.
We'll tell you next episode.
Just do
They win.
Rays going Ray.
Oh, Adam Frazier.